excited to be back. It also marks the return of the UEFA Champions League. You tell that the first set of games are set to go down by 5:45 p.m. I would see that Bilbao take on Arsenal Football Club, and then PSV Eindhoven will be up against the Royal Union St. Gilloise. That's talking about a Belgian side. But outside football stories, we also discuss about the World Athletics Championship going on there in Tokyo. Today is day 4. Nigerians, how are we faring at the World Athletics Championship? But I can tell you that it has been an eventful day full of actions, activities. Faith Kipyegon, well, you tell that this woman is definitely doing it for herself. Fought a world title. And then you talk about her dominance. We've been talking about dominance in recent days. Yesterday it was Amandu Duplantis, and today it's just about Kenya's Faith Kipyegon, one of those few who keeps the African continent that's on the rise. We'll talk about track and field events. We also discuss about updates from the Nigerian scene. We'll talk about football. For the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, they have landed there in Chile, where they'll be playing that in that FIFA Under-20 Boys or Men's World Cup. And I know that they have 2 friendly games, first against the host nation Chile and against Australia. But then we take a look at the lineup or the players that has been called upon by Aliyu Zubairu, the head coach of the boys. And then we talk about CAF interclub competitions. Yes, there's a new development. We all know that for Remo Stars, they can't play their game there in Ikene, but they have a new home, temporary home, for their CAF Champions League games, and also Kwara United. We'll talk about their involvement in CAF competitions. We'll discuss about that on the show. But I'm very sure that lots of us, we are excited with the return of the UEFA Champions League, where we have games set to go down today. 5 games set to go down across different centers, or you say 6 games set to go down across different centers later today. I'm very sure that's a big one in which lots of us we are actually anticipating. And now that it is back, we'll discuss about the UEFA Champions League. Who is going to dethrone Paris Saint-Germain? We all know that the top 8 would qualify to the league. That's the round of 16 proper of the UEFA Champions League, and then those that find themselves outside the bracket would also play some playoffs games over 2 legs to be in the round of 16. It's an interesting league phase format, and now we definitely anticipate who is going to win the UEFA Champions League, with the kickoff just hours away from the mother of all club competitions. I am Oluwatimilai SAMIES, and you're listening to my voice, and I have Dolapo with me in the studio, and together we take a look at all the latest developments and making the rounds there in the world of sports. So before we take a listen to the words of Dolapo reacting to some of the headlines making the rounds there in the world of sports, let's quickly go straight to Tokyo and talk about the updates from Tokyo. We will start straight from Kenya for Dokus Ewoyi. She was born and raised in Kitale. She ran a personal best time of 3 hours, that's 54.92 seconds in a debut World Athletics Championship, to win a gold medal. That's finishing second in the 1,500 meters, 3 minutes rather. And so you say that so much work of put in, choosing to run in the 1,500 meters ahead of the 800, and it's all paid off for her. But you talk about Faith Kipyegon, also a compatriot from playing football in school and only discovering a running talent at the age of 14 to run in her first races barefoot. She has won gold in the World Athletics Championship 1,500 meters event for the 4th time. Well, pure dominance. You talk about long distance race on the African continent, you never find them wanting. That's talking about the Kenyans. But then you talk about some other developments. For the first time in the history of Botswana, we have 3 Botswana athletes into the finals of the men's 400 meters at the World Athletics Championship. That's Colin Kepinchipi with a time of 43.61 seconds, which definitely is the national record and fastest time in the world this year. Bayopon Dori, 44.53 seconds, and then Lee Epe, 44.51 seconds. Something Botswana are definitely doing well. We talk about their athletics. And then you talk about who again. We'll talk about the event going on there in Tokyo. The women's 400 meters final is said to be a thriller there in as Sydney McLaughlin Levronte stormed to victory in a semi-final, breaking the American record with a stunning run of 48.29 seconds. Salwa Edna Sar clocked the time of 49.47 seconds to win a race, while Olympic champion Made Paulino, despite despite easing off in the finish line, and secured the second automatic qualification spot in it with a time of 49.82 seconds. And we tell that history definitely is on the line for all of these stars. So what do we expect from the world of athletics later today? You know that the action never stops there in Tokyo. But we move away from that also and discuss about some development talking about African football. It's all about the Flying Eagles, where that is where I want to get the thoughts of Dolakbo. Going into this competition now for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria under Aliyu Zubairu. Remember that he left the role as El Academy Warriors head coach last season and to focus more on the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. But here they are at the Under-20 Men's World Cup. What do we expect from the boys and also Aliyu Zubairu there in Chile? Well, you tell that their preparation definitely is set to be against Australia and Chile. Those are friendly games. First on Saturday, we don't know the venue yet, the game against Chile, and also next week against Australia. Good afternoon, Dolakbo.
Good afternoon, SAMIES, and good afternoon to everyone who has joined us on the show this afternoon. It's good to come here to talk sports. Well, for the under-20 of Nigeria, and they have a good team. I'm looking at the squad they went with. Aliyu Zubairu has been good with the qualifiers, the WAFU Zambia, and how well they've performed on the African stage. But now it's time to go and show it outside, time to show the world what we can do. This is a competition where Nigerians have always seen where we, for the past few years, maybe before the last 6-7 years where things have changed. For the last few years, we've seen Nigerian get to the semi-final, the final of this competition, and they've performed well. This was the same competition where we saw Mikel Obi perform years ago. So we've seen good Nigerian players coming out of this same competition, and I think we can do it. We have the talent here. Although, unlike other countries, unlike other nations going into this year's competition, we might come out to say these guys, most of these boys are maybe more experienced, more shown outside of the world now, and they are training with better facilities outside of the world. But I feel like with what we've done in this competition over the years and with what we've seen from this side, we can do something. The last Under-20 World Cup, I saw the way this, I think it was the Under-20 Euros. I saw the way Israel and some other small countries came out with young boys, because football is going more rapid. Most of these countries where you expect them to be the whipping boys in different groups. But these guys have been playing really good football. But with what Aliyu Zubairu has done in the qualifiers, I think maybe the least I would be expecting from these guys is to get to the quarterfinal. Taking it through what I saw when they played the qualifiers and what I've seen Nigerian do in the past Under-20 World Cups, I think the least we should expect from this team is the quarterfinal. I'm expecting them to get out of that group stage easily and get into the maybe quarters and even if possible semis as well, because they have a very good precedent in this competition.
Good presence in this competition. In case you are wondering why Dolakbo said that they should actually reach the quarterfinals or maybe the semi-finals, and the first of that is getting out of the group stage easily. We have been drawn in Group F alongside Colombia, Saudi Arabia, and Norway. And our first game is against Norway. That's on September 19. But quickly, we know that Ebenezer Akot is the goalkeeper, and I want to believe that he's going to be the first choice goalkeeper
Definitely.
at the Under-20 Men's World Cup. He plays for Sporting Lagos. We also have Rufal Abubakar of Mavlon Football Club and Clinton Ezekiel of Bayelsa United defenders. Cheche Amos, that's Oyejefu of Stade Reims there in France. Well, I remember he left from Beyond Limits. And then we have Odinaka Okoro also playing for Sporting Lagos. Daniel Bamei, Bayelsa United. I think he's going to be the captain of the side. Marvelous Avebrosu of Ikorodu City. Alatan Azuka of 36 Lions. Akinyele Ahmed Olamide of Remo Stars. In midfield, Israel Ayuma of NK Istra in Croatia. Emmanuel Koicho of MC Montana in Bulgaria. Mustafa Kamaldin of Kwara Football Club Academy. Daniel Daga of Molde Football Club there in Norway. Awal Ibrahim of Oka United. And Nasir Saliu of Kabbalah Football Club in Azerbaijan. And then we talk about forwards Sini Osel Royal Antwerp there in Belgium. Sani Suleiman of AS Derinsin there in Slovakia. Taya Magana of Wireless Football Club. Kurobo Aheri of Lillestrøm there in Norway. We also have Charles Agaba of NK Istra in Croatia. Abdullahi Shitu Ele of Manchester City there in England. Well, this core of players trading their game outside Nigeria, and we have those who also trade their game in Nigeria. Should this be a mix of European experience, facilities compared to those playing their game, and it should actually be a thing of balance going into the competition.
Unlike years ago when Nigerian used to go into this competition to perform, many of the teams that we used to see go out and perform for us in the under-20s, under-17, most of them plays in Nigerian. They play in many academies in Nigeria, and some of them maybe in the NNL, NLO back in the days. I'm not very sure we have many of them playing in the Nigerian league, but now we have Ebenezer Court, and we have a whole lot of players playing outside of Nigeria as well. And when we were playing the WAFCON Zombie, when we were playing the WAFU Zombie and all of that, many of these guys that played this competition, that played the qualifiers, were playing at home. Many of them, 80% of the teams that played the WAFU Zombie, I remember very well, they were playing. Majority of the team were playing here in Nigeria, but now they've gone out to bring more players from outside. Well, I'm expecting 𝐒𝐈𝐒 𝐂𝐈𝐒 to tweak things and maybe to balance things up. It's more likely like Ebenezer Court to be in goal because it looks like the most experienced. He got called up to the national team some weeks ago. So
no, it wasn't in the
camp. It wasn't in the short list. It was in the short list, and I felt like one of the major reasons why he wasn't in camp is because of this under-20 competition coming up for preparation. Because I said it at times, I wasn't expecting him to make that list. So he is the most experienced one there, and then he's more known. So I expect him to start in goal, and he would tweak these things as well. They have 2 or 3 friendly games to play before this competition kickstarts. The toughest game in that group for me should be that game against Norway, which is the first game. The remaining games, I'm expecting them to win those games easily. Because you can't tell me you're going to be playing against Saudi Arabia. Fine, with no disrespect to them, they've been performing, they've been good over the last few years, but their league has been good, but that does not mean they have the big players to participate or the young players to participate against Nigerian board. So I'm expecting that game against Norway to be the toughest game for them in that group. And I still expect them to beat Norway and win the remaining 2 games as well.
And let's see what the results would be for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria there in Chile, where their first game would be against Norway on September 19. Even though the competition kicks off proper, that's on the 27th of this month. That would have South Korea against Ukraine first, Japan against Egypt. Those games will go down simultaneously. That's across both centers. South Korea against Ukraine, Japan against Egypt. Surely we'll still be here to give you updates from that's the FIFA Under-20 World Cup set to begin. That's how many days? That's in about a week from now. But moving away from that, also let's discuss about this one from the Nigerian scene, where Remo Stars and Kwara United, they are set to play their continental games there at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium there in 𝐵𝐿𝐿𝑒𝑘UTA, newly structured stadium. That's just before the National Sport Festival. But this is what we have. Remo Stars, they are playing their NPFL games there, and as it stands, they don't need to go far away to play their continental games. So still home, away from home, there in 𝐵𝐿𝐿𝑒𝑘UTA.
Good for them. Good for Remo Stars. They would be in 𝐵𝐿𝐿e𝑘UTA to play their games. And I think many of the Nigerian teams should look into strengthening their stadium, working on their stadium. They are playing in the league. Maybe there is no money in the league. There is not enough money in the league because the last time I checked, the only team that get more money or that get the most percentage of the money the NPFL are going to put down is the team that wins the league. But then many of these state teams should have good stadium, at least good enough for CAF. Good enough for CAF, because when you look at the stadium that CAF allowed South Africa to play their game when they played against Nigeria. Yeah, that is, if you're having that as your standard, if that is CAF standard. And many of
in South Africa, we have over 10 stadiums that could host a beautiful game of football outside what we saw.
Yes, I think that was intentional. That was just one thing you want to call mind game from African teams. One of those things we do in Africa just to give your opponents tough times, knowing fully well that most of Nigerian players are coming from abroad and they are not used to such stadiums. So that is just one thing that they can do. But if that stadium is up to CAF standards, I think we should have a whole lot of teams in Nigeria that would have good stadium to participate in CAF competition. But good for Remo Stars. I'm not very sure of how that would be for Kwara United, because when you look at it, Remo will still be able to get fans to come onto the stadium. For them, it won't really be like that. They won't get a whole lot of fans, but they will still have some football enthusiasts that would want to come out and support the Nigerian side. And maybe they can one of them can nick it too. I'm not seeing both of them getting out.
4 Nigerian sides in CAF competitions, 2, the CAF Champions League 2, and the CAF Confederations Cup. But also, we know we have the UEFA Champions League to discuss on the show this lovely afternoon. But we'll definitely have to do that now. And talking about the UEFA Champions League, it's not the best way to start for Ademola Lookman, where he's set to miss Atlanta's game against the Paris Saint-Germain, which has been said by their head coach, Zurich. Well, for Zurich, he said that the club and also the player, it will sit out of their Champions League encounter against the Paris Saint-Germain after or following a protracted attempt to leave the Serie A club, Atlanta Football Club, during the course of the summer transfer window. Fair judgment on Ademola Lookman's part, or this is just not the best way to treat the man who led you to their first European trophy?
I think for the club, it's fair. Maybe for Ademola Lookman it might not be fair, but for the club it's fair, because I said it when he left the team. He went on social media to delete everything that has to do with Atalanta from his socials. He left Atalanta and they didn't know where he was for weeks, for close to 2-3 weeks. He returned back to training after maybe with 3 or 4 days towards the end of the transfer window. That was when he got back.
To the start of the season, he returned. He came out with a statement that he wanted to leave. I'm yet to see him come out with a statement to apologize to Atalanta. He is yet to do that. And when you look at this very well, Atalanta is on their rights. They said it at that time. If we want to sell you, we are going to sell you for £50 million. No team came out. No team was ready to pay that amount. It should have acted better. But he went on socials, and now he does not have the power again. Now they have the power, at least till January. They have the power. He does not have the power again. So he would have to come out, apologize, and maybe that is what the team is telling him to do, and he's not ready to do. Maybe. Because at the moment, it's not looking like they're not doing good without him. They won their game over the weekend against Parma. Who did they play? I'm not mistaken. They won 2-1 in that game. So it's not really looking like they are missing him or something like that, or they are performing really bad. So maybe he should come out with a statement to apologize as well. But I'm not very sure he will do that. He wants to leave. And at the moment, maybe for his career, it might not be good enough. But then there's no World Cup for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, so there's nothing to be rushing for. You would be there, and maybe if you get a good team. But if you were playing very well, you're playing week in, week out, and the only team that came out for you is Atalanta. Now that the transfer window is closed, and you won't be playing for, if you are not coming out to apologize, and you might not be playing for the next 2-3 months till the transfer window in January would open, who would come out for you? Who? And he's 28 or going to 29 by October. Well, you made mention of a point where it almost skipped my mind, and it's about our bid to qualify for the
World Cup.
The FIFA Men's World Cup. For FIFA, they have ruled out any disciplinary action against South Africa over allegations of fielding an ineligible player during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers.
Rules change. In 2018, when Nigeria played against Algeria, Shehu Abdullahi played. He had the yellow card and he played. They removed 3 points from the Super Eagles of Nigerians' points. But now in 2025, against FIFA rules, Tebo Mokoena played. They're supposed to get 3 points for Lesotho and 0 points for South Africa. But then they have come out now to tell us there's nothing like that. I'm expecting this. I was not expecting them to remove 3 points, because if FIFA were to remove 3 points, they would have done it since. So now it's looking like it's just done. South Africa just need 3 points to qualify for the World Cup now. And they need 1 point to make it mathematically clear that Nigeria will be going to the World Cup. And they need 3 points just to qualify, because Benin Republic has 14 points in that group. So it's done and it's over. We won't be playing in 2 World Cups with all our stars. NFF has to go.
NFF has to go. All right, we also need to shift focus and talk about the UEFA Champions League. Yes, it's the return of the mother of all club competitions, and later tonight at the Estadio San Memes there in Bilbao, it is going to be Atletico de Bilbao against Arsenal Football Club, and also at the Philips Stadion there in the Netherlands, PSV Eindhoven will be up against the Royal Union St. of Belgium. And so the return of the UEFA Champions League. Do you see any other club side that dethroning Paris Saint-Germain, or which side are you looking to back in going far in this year's UEFA Champions League?
Well, it's still early days. 8 games in the league phase. You never can tell what will happen. Last season, Paris Saint-Germain were not really good in the league phase. They went up to win the UEFA Champions League. Liverpool were very good in the league phase. They won all of their games.
No.
They lost. Okay, the last game against PSV was the one they've qualified already before that game. That was the only game they lost. And then in the round of 16, they got knocked out.
But you know the good thing about the UEFA Champions League last season? Of all the sides that were in the top 8, or you look at the top 4, 3 of them were in the semi-final.
Yes, 3 were in the semis, and only 1 was not there. And the only one that was not there was knocked out by Paris Saint-Germain, who was there to probably replace them. Well, with what I saw last season and with the way I saw the bigger side, the so-called big teams, because everybody participating in the Champions League are big teams. But the way you see the so-called big teams perform at the start of the Champions League last season was not really good enough. At a point in time, teams like Aston Villa were in the top 8. I was looking at Monaco winning games, Lille winning games, and a whole lot of teams you were expecting to do really well. Even when they got to the playoff side, there was another team that really performed. That was still the best from the French Ligue 1. They performed as well. Yes, they performed really well in the UEFA Champions League last year. The German side were not really good in the Champions League last season. The only team that performed from Germany last season was Bayern. Bayern got knocked out against Inter Milan. They had that scare against Celtic before they went on and got knocked out from Inter Milan. Borussia Dortmund were a bit good as well. They scored a whole lot of goals last season.
They lost to the Ants of Barcelona.
Yeah, they lost to Barca, and we all know how that game went. Well, going into this season, I think 6 teams from England. I feel like with the amounts they've spent, like other teams, other league, I think England has spent close to 3 billion. They've spent 3 billion on 3 billion and above in the transfer window. None of the, even if you add the remaining top 4 leagues together, none of them spent up to 1.2 billion. So I feel like the English side should be in the semi-final. Maybe 3 of them should be in the semi-final. With what I have in front of me, with what I'm seeing, I think I'm feeling like, fine, Real Madrid have won 5 of the last 9 or 10 UEFA Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain won it last year, but this season it's not been going well.
We have 5 teams from Spain.
Yes, but when you look at it very well, when you say 5 teams from Spain, realistically I can say 2 teams from Spain.
4 from Germany.
Realistically, you can say 2.
From Spain?
From Germany. From Spain, you can from Germany you can say 2. Bayern and Dortmund. From Spain, you can say Barcelona and Real Madrid are the only 2 teams that can. Atletico Madrid, no, they've not been.
We also have debutants at this year's
Union Saint-Gilloise, Pafos, and I've seen David Luiz be playing for Pafos, and it's very good.
Yeah.
That team they were founded in 2011, and now they would have David Luiz in the team. It is just good to have David Luiz in the UEFA Champions League. I know what I'm saying. You would laugh. So I think with what I'm seeing, Barcelona last season they were really good. They got knocked out in the semi-final against Inter Milan, and the flick side have been really, really good. I'm tipping them to be in the semi-final as well. I'm not very sure of Real Madrid this season. Maybe another quarter-final exit again, because last season they got knocked out in the quarter-final. This season under a new coach, they've not impressed me this season. Yeah, they won all of their games, but I've not really been impressed. Because I feel like if they play against a tough team, a team that will give them a run for their money, they would struggle. Barcelona, I think they can get to the semi-final. Liverpool, I want to see them in the semi-final of the Champions League this year. Arsenal as well. In the last 2 seasons, quarter-final first. That was their first season back in the UEFA Champions League. Semi-final last season, got knocked out by the team that eventually won the Champions League. So that is 3. And maybe Chelsea. Maybe, I'm not really sure. And another thing is, the Italian side as well have been good. Maybe I would have preferred to see Napoli. I would like to see what Napoli can do, but it is Antonio Conte that is coaching this team.
So are you saying Antonio Conte is not a winner?
He is a league winner, not a Champions League winner. He has won 6 league titles with different sides, with different countries. But when you look at it, the last time he performed well in the Champions League was, I think that was in 2013 when he took Juventus to the final. That was the last time you would see him do something really good in the Champions League. His team does not really play well in the Champions League. And I think this season they have a really good team in Napoli. Rasmus Højlund, I feel like he would be a rejuvenated man there in Napoli. He would score goals. He scored in his debut. Scott McTominay has been good and he will still keep being good. They have Kelvin De Bruyne in the team. and they have Romelu Lukaku still yet to play a game this season. So I think they have a good team. Raspadori and all of that is still in that side. So I think Napoli have a good team too, but just that I'm not really sure of what to expect from their coach. Inter Milan has not been good this season. We won't see the same Inter Milan we saw under Simone Inzaghi that got to 2 Champions League semi-final in 3 years. I'm not sure we can see that. Juventus have been scoring a whole lot of goals this season.
Semi-finals or finals?
They got to the finals twice. Finals twice. They lost twice, 6-0 and 1-0 against Manchester City. But I'm seeing 3 teams from England and 1 from Spain in the semis. I don't know who would win it.
All right, so we have actions for the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal against Atletico de Bilbao, PSV, Gideon said Gilios, Benfica, Karabakh, Juventus, Dortmund, Real Madrid, Marseille, and Tottenham against Villarreal. Well, thanks so much, Dolapo. This is how far we can go on today's edition of the show. We'll come your way again tomorrow, 7:45 or 7:40 a.m. and for Scoreboard and 15 to give you developments from the world of sport. And in the afternoon also, a review and a preview of the UEFA Champions League games set to go down tomorrow, and also that went down later tonight. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. Do enjoy the rest of the day, and bye for now.